Okay, this is video blog number 5. Let's say 5.2, 5.3, because I won't actually be doing part of the project about talking about my artist because I had to reschedule to tomorrow. So I apologize, Ashley, for Matt, but Joshua's quite fine with the rescheduling because he's like, oh, I'd prefer that he was here. So I do apologize for him again. I'm sorry. But let's get down to business. Talk about the things that I actually do have. Well, first off, I'll just show you part of the sketchbook that's here. Let me look for it. There's too many pages in here. Okay. First off, we have my 6 questions. My first question, which was, what do you see yourself closer to, a musician or a performance artist? Or do you see them as the same thing? Secondly, did you pick the wheel and the shoes to set yourself apart from like other people who use mixers? Or are they to express yourself? Are they linked to you, or is it just something to set yourself apart from others? And number 3, what made you decide to pick like music or sound as your medium to express yourself? 4, what made you / what event made it possible for you to get so well known? I mean, like, I have gone to a couple raves here and there, and I've heard people talk about Joshua, like in the different communities, just because he's that famous. I mean, I already knew his name when I came into this class. It's like, he is pretty well known. And I was just interested. It's like, what enabled him to get up to that level? Number 5, do you make music to shape your identity, or do you make it to show people what you're made of, or like what you can do? Like between like expressing yourself or showing the world what it is? Or is that the same thing? And 6, do you ever feel limited by your medium? I mean, like, because sound does have its limitations and the frequencies and things it can do based by physics, and just wanted to ask him if he ever felt limited by that. Probably no. Also, I went to the zoo. Here's a sketch of a meerkat I made. He was standing on a rock for like a good 10-15 minutes. I bought some meerkat food to feed him for like $10. It was worth it. Okay, now for the next part of this video is to talk about the reading. I found it actually really funny, because when I flipped through this book, I saw that, and I actually kind of read Nike Ground first, and I found that hilarious. It's like, in essence, how he expressed it is these people with no faces, no names, brought together and in essence trolled a lot of people, in the sense of they put together a 13-ton project to say, hey, look what we can do, in the sense of making people believe stuff, because they, as most people usually don't do, when they usually hear a rumor or something, they usually take it to be partly true, and usually they don't ever do any research on it, and they eventually take it to be truth. So I found it really interesting that they set this up in a famous plaza, and they tell people, yes, this is the Nike Ground, this is going to be, instead of Carl Plots, Nike Plots, in essence, America taking over something. And their reaction, which I found kind of funny to Nike, was that they just sued. But what were they suing? They don't know who put this together, who did it. How could they? It's just some nameless people, some faceless entities of the internet community. That's what made it kind of interesting to me, was the fact that the internet, like the net artists, can do so much without people actually knowing who they are. So I believe it makes them able to push beyond certain limits of people who are like, this is me, this is my artwork. Because when people come and see that, they're like, my God, this is appalling to me, it's a travesty of nature, and then they direct that hatred at you. But when people do something like this, it's like, how could you do this? It's like, who are you talking to? You don't know who did it. For all we know, it could have been a ghost. And that's what I kind of felt like with this project, or with the Nike Ground, it was really interesting that the medium they chose to express themselves was, in essence, a 13-ton block building that they moved. And I don't know. I feel like when it came down to it, well, actually, here, when it came down to it, I think the part of the article that most stuck with me is the fact that it can't be done again, because it's like companies would be like, it's a one-trick pony. Like, it can only be done once. It's like a genie for one wish, and they did it great, like fantastic, over the top. Like how they did this one thing, because it's like they stated, it's like, oh, if they were to do it again, the companies would probably embrace it, like say, yeah, this is actually a marketing campaign. We weren't gonna take it, and they'd like do all this. They'd spin it off and take it and turn it into positive momentum. But another thing about the article, and I actually looked up like people's responses. There was a few people who wrote like outrage on the internet, like, oh, I don't like this. But then a lot of people are like, oh, okay, man, I'm sad. I like feeding the ducks there or walking there, and they're like, darn. And it's like, their target audience, I guess, wasn't so much the people, but the company itself, because the company was like, we gotta sue someone, we gotta have blood, we gotta, pretty much in essence, a headhunt. But there was no one, because it's the internet. You can't sue the internet. So, I found that as a really interesting thing. And, let's see, what else? Let's see, I talked about the reading, I showed some sketches, and if you don't remember, your cat, I'll probably also have some pictures. Oh, also, accompanying to this video, attached to it in the blog, on Beachboard will be some of the pictures of the research I did. And yes, I did watch the 28-minute video of the people interviewing Joshua and him talking about his work. It was really helpful in being able to compose my questions for him. And again, Ashley, I am sorry for Matt. I really am, from like the bottom of wherever my drive to work and do better comes from. I really am. And you'll expect the other part of this tomorrow, and it'll be over the top because it's talking with Joshua Freed. I mean, it's probably going to be like, we'll probably somehow invent the cure for cancer out of it. And this was Blog 5.2.